Hello everyone and welcome to another What I Think review. Now, two things. Firstly, I apologise for the low light in here. I'm having to do it. This are actually curtains. There's a window here and I couldn't get the backlighting, but I've still got another window over here. Well, hang on, can I make the light any better? Not really. Okay, well, I apologise for the slightly low light. I will try to work this out as best I can. Secondly, if you're watching this hoping for a good review and you missed the intro warning, I will say this now to be perfectly clear. I am not a fan of the 375 range, so I am very biased. I'm probably going to pick a lot of holes in this, so if you are a fan of it, you might be better off not watching this, because I'm sure some of the things that I'm going to say, people are going to say I'm being very unfair, but these are my opinions. You know, everyone is entitled to their own. I'm just giving my ones here, so you know, it really is a case of, these are my opinions, please respect them, but if you are a huge fan of the 375 range, you may want to stop watching now. So, this is the Into the Dalek Time Zone and Figure Collection set. Now, I'm not a collector of the 375 range, I said, because I'm not really a fan. I've got a few pieces. I've got a couple of Daleks and some of the Doctor figures. I've made a couple of customs from them. But just generally, I'm not a fan because I just don't think they're very good. I don't think they're very well made. They're very cheap, and so that's why I've never sort of reviewed anything. And this isn't a start to reviewing 375 things. This is, you know, just the odd bit that I've managed to get. The reason I'm reviewing this is because when this set first came out, it was about 40 quid, and it was just really not worth it in my opinion. And then it was bumped down to 20, but I was still umming and ahhing about getting it. It just didn't seem worth the price. And now it's been lowered in Argos, in the UK anyway, to under £10. So I figured that was a fairly decent price for it, because, you know, if I was going to pick up a, you know, we've got a special moving electronic Dalek. It's the first time I've had my hands on one of these. So although I'm not happy with Rusty, which I'll go into more detail later, I'm interested to see how the action works. But yeah, so I didn't feel like it was really worth the price, but then when we got it for £10, it seemed like a much better deal, because, like I said, is a single electronic Dalek could cost you anywhere from sort of £5 to £8, and so the fact that I've got that and then two more Daleks and some figures, it was much more worth the price. So the box is very well presented. Obviously, we've got all of the information we usually get. It's showing us the playset as a whole, obviously what we get in it. We've obviously got the exclusive Dalek hoverbout, although now, correct me if I'm wrong, it says exclusive Dalek hoverbout, but I believe one of those came in the Invasion 375 playset. Am I wrong in saying that, or was that true? I know it was in a bronze colour. This is in the black colours, but it says exclusive. I mean, if they said exclusive coloured, then yeah, but I'm sure it's not exclusive to this set. I'm sure you can get one of these in other sets, albeit in a different colour. So obviously, as well as that, we get an exclusive moving Rusty set. Now, I haven't ever really bought the Rusty figure. I've made my own versions. I'm not really happy with this figure, and I'll explain why later, but obviously this is the moving version is exclusive to this set, so you know that is a plus for people that want to buy this. There is actually something that is more or less exclusive to this set. So obviously it's got all of the information on the sides, and it's basically just telling us all a bit more at the back, saying, you know, what you can put it together with, saying, you know, that you can add it on to the separate playsets, and it's compatible with the Spin and Fly TARDIS and all the blurb and usual stuff. But obviously we want to see inside. I have to say, as much as I'm not a fan of these, even I'm interested to see what's inside, because it's the first time I've sort of really unboxed one of these playsets, and I'm interested to see if I'm not expecting much, because I know they're made out of cardboard and things like that, so I'm really not expecting much at all, but who knows, I may be pleasantly surprised. So let's come and see what we've got in the box. No, nothing else in the box. Okay, well, we've got obviously instructions. It's fairly well packaged. It's a bit of a large box for what you get in it. And you know, straight off, this is the problem I've got with these. Is you used to get the old 5-inch playsets. You know, they were proper plastic things, and you know, they had cardboard bits in them, but they were all sort of big sets, big plastic sets, and you felt like you were getting your money's worth. Essentially, what I'm getting here is I would have said 20 quid's worth of figures here, maybe, and then I'm spending another 20 quid on bits of cardboard. It's a bit of a switch, you know. Like I said, I'm going to be harsh on this, so if you're not if you are a fan and you think I'm being unduly fair, then you may want to stop watching. But you know, as I said, I think this is a bit of a swizz for 40 quid. I mean, for the under 10 that I got it for, it's actually a great set. You get a lot in it. And if this set had been 20 when it had first came out, then I probably would have considered again buying it. But I'm not going to pay 40 quid for something like this. You know, that's asking way too much. Okay, and all of my things are falling off the table. Right. Okay, figures. So we've got a 12th Doctor, and we've got a Clara figure. Although, again, I have a little bit of a gripe with that Clara figure, but we'll come back to the figures first of all, because first thing I want to do, after I've got everything out, is to look at the playset first. Oh, I've got some plastic strut pieces here. Okay, so first things first is to put everything together. So I'm going to try and film this, but I may cut it out depending on how long it takes. Okay, right. I have officially given up with putting this together because I was starting to lose my temper with this. This is my experience with this, alright? I appreciate that some people are going to say, oh, you're doing it wrong, but seriously, this is my experience. So, first of all, the instructions are not clear at all. There's no images. You have to go by the images on the box and the shapes here. Secondly, and I apologise if I'm getting pissed off about this, but I am pissed off, they advise use of... So this doesn't hold together on its own. That needs sellotape. Thirdly, I'm missing this is not here. This tab at the back here, no matter how many times I try, will not go in to the point where I've nearly broken it. It's all popping out at the base. And this thing, this fucking thing, you have to fold it in, as the instructions say. So put that tab in and then fold it over. It doesn't stay in. It doesn't... See, look, fold it over, actually fold it in, it doesn't stay together. So, this playset, here's what I think of it. It can fuck right off, because it's absolute waste of space. So, that is it. You're not going to see any more of the playset. I apologise if people are wanting to see more of it, but I genuinely don't see the point now. I genuinely do not see the point in making a review of something that is so fundamentally flawed that you can't even put it together. This is meant ages 5 plus. How a 5-year-old child is supposed to put this together, I have not a single clue, because even as a 28-year-old man, I am struggling with it. It just does not work. This is why the playsets need to be made out of proper materials. Make them out of plastic. Don't make them out of cardboard. Right, well, end of the rant on the playset. It's shit, that's my personal opinion. So let's get on to the figures, because these at least look half promising. You know, I'm not a fan of the figures, as I said. I mean, to be honest, compared to the playset, the figures... Oh, that playset, man. Seriously, compared to the playset, the figures look like the Mona Lisa. They really do. Right, let's get this together. See what we've got. Okay, I'm going to go through these one by one. So here's our little hoverbout. Now, this is actually quite impressive. That I am actually quite pleased with. That's a really good little design. It fits together easy. It all fits together nice and snug, and it's actually really well molded. It's very well put together. And I have to say, now, again, I'm going to wait to unbox Rusty to confirm this, but I have to say, I think of this playset, I can't even use the word playset anymore because it's not a playset, it's a box of figures. That's the only reason anyone's probably going to buy this, I reckon. It's all I bought it for, I wasn't bothered about Playset. I was going to chuck it away anyway. Yeah, but here, this is really good. I think this is definitely going to be probably the best piece in the set. It does. It is a little stiff to clip together, but once it's together, it does stay together. I'm really impressed with this. I have to say, I'm really impressed with this, and it's things like this, this, and the Scobox Blitzer, and the Cybermen figures. These really are, and to be fair, the Dalek figures as well. The 375 range has its moments where it comes together really well, and there are things like this that really are very impressive. So let's get on to the Dalek that goes with it. Obviously, we've got our black Dalek. I know most people are going to go, oh, it's Dalek Sec, but I'm just going to call it a black Dalek because it is a black Dalek. Doesn't necessarily mean it's Dalek Sec. Usual standard Dalek Ness here. Not really much to say. It's just a normal Dalek. It's painted black. Obviously, he fits in there, and he's got little raised bits, so his wheels, so he sort of stays in. Obviously, he's not fixed in. That would have been a nice feature, actually. Would have been if you had a magnet in here and a magnet in here, because obviously, you know what, kids are like, they like to, and that happens, So that's a bit of a shame that that's one feature they could have added in. Would have been a little magnet in there to hold him into the base, because it's not there's anything else in here. It's just plastic. So yeah, that would have been a nice feature, but as it stands as a display piece, I think it looks quite good. I'm still not a huge fan, as I said, of the 375 range, but the Daleks are very good. They're very well made. They're very well put together. They're very well sort of scaled in terms of how they look. I'm still going to choose the 5-inch range over them, but the 375 versions are very nice. So let's open up. We have a standard bronze Dalek. There's not really much to say here. It's just a standard bronze Dalek. Yeah, and obviously he fits as well in the whole of the thing. Same as, nothing to keep him down. It would have been, again, nice magnets. It's a very simple thing to add in. We will come back to Rusty, because I get the feeling I'm going to have a lot to say on the subject of him. But let's get the Doctor out with his sonic screwdriver that I can't get out of the packet. While I'm trying to get it out, there we go. It's a nice little accessory. It's quite hard to capture on camera in such a low scale. Yeah, so standard 3 3/4 inch Doctor. There's not really very much to say about this. Does this still have the usual old head problem? Oh no, oh no, wait, it's nearly got the same old head problem. The problem I had with the previous ones, if you haven't seen, is especially with the very first ones, the 11th Doctor ones, is the fact that you could literally just do that and his head would pop off. But this has actually been fixed. It's got a proper peg in it, so it does bend off, but it does take a lot to do it. So that is quite an improvement. Still no red on the inside of the coat, which is a little bit of a shame. It would be nice to see that touch, and he's still a little bit bow-legged. Yeah, as I said, I'm not overly impressed with these figures in general, but I've said my piece on that many times. So on to Clara. Now, the Clara, it's the first time I've had really a Clara figure, and it's not bad. There's a bit of problems with the paint markings on there. This is really hard to capture on camera because of the light. I'm sorry about this. But she's got a sort of few paint marks on here. Now, it's not a bad figure. It's a little bit flimsy, as is with the, most of this range. And she does look a little bit, yeah, she doesn't, yeah, she's a bit uneven on her feet, which isn't really great. She won't even stand up. The problem here, though, is one that is quite sort of glaringly. I can't even move her arm. Oh, see, this is exactly my point with these. I mean, look at, all I was trying to do, I was like, oh, well, I'll just move her arm up, and it just comes right off. And even if I try to move it the other way, right, I'm not even going to put much pressure on it. Single finger, and the arm comes off. This really is the problem I've got with these, is they are so cheap and nasty that it's just such a shame that we've seen that character options have this great you know, they're 5-inch range. It's actually not half bad. You know, there's a few bits wrong with it, and I could say a few things wrong with it. But compared to these, as I said, these are just so awful. I mean, her arm even moved. Yeah, that barely, and that one's come off now as well. This is just okay. Right. Well, I'm just repeating myself here. So I can't even get her arm back on now. There we go. So let's not get into that. The figures are badly made, they're cheap made, but the problem here is this is a great looking figure. It's a great representation of that costume that Clara wears, only she doesn't wear this costume in this episode. I know that to me doesn't really bother me. I'm not bothered by things like that, but again, to children, not going to bother me. But I know to collectors who want these sorts of things, that's going to be a serious gripe for them. It's nice to have a new costume, but at least make it the costume that was in the episode. You know, it's otherwise it's just looks really out of place. I'm not even going to try standing her up. Okay, let's get into Rusty now, because this is where I think I have to say this was going to be my only disappointment with the set, but I think the whole thing is generally fairly disappointing. How does it? I don't even know if it has any batteries in it. Does the instructions tell me anything about how to... No, the instructions tell me nothing about how to turn Rusty on and what he does. Buttons, I'm looking for buttons anywhere. Oh, there we go. So the next question is, does he actually work? I don't know if he's going to work on this, but we'll give it a try. No, so let's just... So actually, other than that, do it on the box. Anything? No? Okay. Let's try it on the wood and see if it works. Well, he does work, but that's an incredibly irritating noise. That is not... And it's literally just like, basically... Essentially all it is he vibrates along, but it's the brushes are slightly shy. I don't know how easy, again, I can catch this on camera. They're slightly shy of the base. So, essentially vibrates along on the brushes. But if he didn't have those brushes there, he'd just go... But yeah, that's quite an annoying noise. I mean, it's an interesting concept, but... I think... Yeah. I don't think it works, to be honest. Okay, right, well, Rusty. Okay, right, I'm going to just hold him in front of camera for a second. I'm going to try and get him on camera as best I can. In fact, can I do a 360 degrees? And while I'm doing this, I'll put up some pictures either side of the actual prop at the Doctor Who experience. Pictures that I took myself. Yeah, this is... It's inaccurate on so many levels, and it's such a shame because they could have really had something good there if they just put a little bit more attention to detail in it. It's the little things, like the silver thing with the red dial missing here. If you had that in, just put that there. I mean, you've done... The sculpt is here. I mean, look, that is the same sculpt. That is exactly the sculpt. All it would need to do is be painted silver and put here. You have the capabilities to do it. You've proved you've got the capabilities to do it. Why is it not here? Alright? It's just such a shame that this could have been a really good figure. It could have looked really good. It could have come together really well. And it is just a real disappointment. This whole... I mean... Okay. I know, again, that I've said I'm warning people and people are going to say, oh, you're being incredibly unfair, but my personal opinion, this entire set, I'm not even going to bother getting the playset because it's halfway across the room in pieces now. This whole set is a horrible disappointment, and if you bought this when it came out for like 40 quid or whatever it was for, you've been seriously ripped off. I'm sorry, but this is my opinion. I'm going to get quite sort of hacked off about this, because I am hacked off the fact that I've still paid money for this piece of shit, you know. And I've not paid as much as other people. I would not pay 40 quid for this. I wouldn't pay 20 quid for this, but it was about, I think it was just under 10 quid. Now that's worth it, because buying these figures separate totals to more than £10. So basically what I've done is I've bought, let's say, 2 figures and then got all of this and a load of cardboard for free. That's worthwhile to me. That's why I've bought this. I bought this. I don't feel like I've been ripped off by how much it's worth. If I'd bought it for 40 quid, I'd be feeling seriously ripped off. But buying it for what I paid for it now, I mean, yeah, I feel like that price was worthwhile. But I still feel that asking for any amount of money for that thing over there, this piece of shit cardboard, asking, you know, 30 odd quid for, I mean, even, okay, let's say the figures are 20 quid and that was 20 quid. Asking £20 for that is just daylight robbery. It is absolutely rubbish. It is absolutely shit. And the whole video, this really sums up what I think about the 375 range. Playsets that a 28-year-old man is struggling to put together. Figures that are wildly inaccurate to what was seen. Figures that are badly made. This, I'm sorry if people are really fans of the 375 range, that's fair enough. If you're a fan of it and it doesn't, you know, little inaccuracies and the things like that don't bother you. But I look at this and I'm starting to, people are asking like, oh, where's the next wave? Where's the next wave? I hope there isn't a next wave. I hope they decide, oh, actually, let's scrap the 375 and go back to the 5-inch. At which point I'll turn around and say, well, what was the point of the 375 range in the beginning anyway? It's utterly, utterly pointless. And the only reason that I have bought this, well, I say only reason, 2 reasons I bought this. One, to bring you this review, which is definitely different to my other reviews, that has to be said. And secondly, because for the price I've paid for it, yes, these are inaccurate figures, but they're still figures. I can take these for parts. I genuinely am probably going to keep this one, and I may, I'm not saying I will, but I may sort of redo Rusty slightly, you know, 375 and make him a bit more accurate. I'll probably do a custom of that. The other idea, okay, it's still really not working. It's a great idea. So it's interesting to have this piece in my collection as a concept of a toy. And as I said, you know, I may well do a custom version, a custom what's the word? Life for the workshop of making him a little bit more accurate. This I'll probably use for parts, and I will probably, these will end up in the bottom of my parts bin, probably never to see the light of day again unless I decide to do any more 375 customs, which I probably won't. So I'm sure people are going to start typing in the comments below saying, oh, can you make this out of Clara, or can you make this out of the Doctor? Probably not going to happen, but you're more than welcome to post ideas. I'm always interested to hear ideas. So yeah, I mean, if I was to be perfectly honest, if I was to sum up this set, it is just abysmal. And if you want to know this set, I would not, as I said before, not pay 40 quid for it. It's rubbish. The only part of this set that is really redeemable, I have to say, is this, because it's just plastic, you know, it's just cheap plastic. But that really is something that is quite unique, and it's actually not, it's quite well painted. You know, it's got a few little paint marks on here, but it's well painted, it's well designed, all the detail on it's very nice. Obviously, you know, it does fit figures. I mean, it doesn't have the magnet, is my only gripe with this. But I have to say, this is the part of the set that I'm most impressed with. Everything else, with the exception of these figures, all of this, everything, the box, all of that rubbish playset over there is going in the bin as far as I'm concerned. But these parts, the hoverbout really is the best part of the set for me. So, I mean, if you're, put it this way, this is worth going and buying an Argos for the price in terms of getting a few figure bits. The playset itself is rubbish, but to get some, you know, figures and to get some Daleks, it's not a bad set to buy. Obviously, I don't know how much longer they're going to have them in stock. I think it's a stock clearance, but yeah, I have to say, overall, I mean, this is where I usually do the finished thing. So I will bring. This is where's my piece for the finishing shot? Let's see. Okay, right. I will bring this in for the finishing shot because this represents how bad the playset is. And then this is basically the only bit of it that's really worth keeping, essentially, I would say. So, yeah, that is my final shot. Again, I would apologise if you are a fan of the 375 range. And I would like to say, if you think I've been unfair and unjust, please remember that you were warned twice before you watched this video that there was going to be unfair and injustice. So if you do feel insulted, then by all means put that in the comments, but you won't get any sympathy from me. And to be perfectly honest, the only people I have sympathy for are character options, for the fact that they release this shit to people. But to be honest, this is the kind of stuff that really proves how money grabbing they've become, in my opinion. If it wasn't for the fact that we did get some nice figures occasionally, the night of the Doctor, 8th Doctor, and we've had some interesting. The Missy figures were quite nice, although we've got this new variant now, which is fairly rubbish in my opinion because it's just a repaint. Occasionally they give us nice stuff, but that's the problem. It is the word there is occasionally. This really does show. If character options, I know you're probably not, but if anyone from character options is watching this video, please just concentrate on the 5-inch range. Put money into new molds, listen to what the fans want, and I guarantee that you will not have to keep producing shit like this. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, favourite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.